Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a Screenwriter's Rant on Voyagers, a sci-fi movie starring Colin Farrell and a bunch of young cast members, and it's takes place in the future. Takes place in the future, and it's about, I think, a group of colonists going into space. So there's a spaceship there, and they're the colonists. So smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Please check out my books, Wokistan, a novel, and Hollywoke, another novel. Links in the description. Also, the Pineys, books 1 through 5, horror comedy in South Jersey. Now, this looks interesting. It's directed by Neil Berger, who directed Limitless, and I enjoyed that movie. It was a good movie. It's about things. And Limitless was about, the limits of the human mind and how you could maybe unlock them. And the premise of the movie was that there's this drug that unlocks everything and makes you like genius level guy. This movie looks like it's about a bunch of colonists off into space, and it's a little bit like Lord of the Flies in space, right? Because Colin Farrell takes all these kids in space. Maybe Earth is dying or something, so they shoot them off into space, and they control the kids by having them drink this blue goo, which I guess drugs them and keeps them under control, keeps them from like banging each other nonstop. So they kind of descend into, I don't want to say a madness, but they descend into a situation in which they suddenly don't care and start testing the limits. Like they kind of don't realize, like here they must have had a big orgy and just had sex with each other. They're running around the ship, and here they are having sex. So I think it must be. It doesn't really tell you the premise, but it seems to imply that these guys are on the ship by themselves, and then maybe Colin Farrell dies, right? Maybe he passes on, and these guys were supposed to take over the ship, but maybe they're not ready or they're too young, and now they're screwed. Now they're screwed. Now the whole ship is falling apart, and the kids are just, without the blue juice, they're descending into their animal instincts. And seems to be a lot of kids, a lot of Hollywood kids in this. So it looks a little bit surreal and interesting. April 9th, written and directed by Neil Berger. No other credits there other than Colin Farrell, who I assume dies because he's the only older actor in the whole movie. But it looks extremely interesting. This looks like a scene where they try to bring a guy out of the airlock, I guess, and throw him out. So maybe Among Us was an inspiration for this movie. I don't know. But that's the way I would pitch it. It's like Lord of the Flies in space. That would be my guess, judging from this trailer. Colin Farrell dies, leaving these kids to fend for themselves. They have instructions, but without the blue dye, or they realize that the blue dye is a drug, and and it's keeping them from feeling something, so they stop taking it, and they all just go nuts because they haven't been feeling. They've been kept numb for so long, they don't have the tools to deal with their hormones and emotions and all that kind of stuff. So I guess the plan was to get them to a planet and then cut them loose, and then it wouldn't matter. But on the ship, it's got to matter because you got to keep the ship up, right? The ship doesn't get to where it's going, it's kind of pointless, the whole thing. So it'd be interesting to see if this was a dark ending, like the kids just, they don't care. They just end up destroying their own ship and killing themselves. That would be kind of cool. I'm very interested to see this movie. Simply because it seems like a daring subject matter, right? I mean, Lord of the Flies isn't all that daring, but, this sort of new twist on it, and I'm sure he's got like a whole climate change thing in it. And, yeah, I'd like to see this. And Neil Berger, I mean, Limitless was a really good movie. So that should tell you something. These days you really should follow the writers and directors and the talent, not so much the studio, not so much even the characters. Even though you may love a character, man, it's, unless a lot of times, unless the movie's written by the same guy or at least very close, he's got a close tie. With Game of Thrones, they seemed pretty tight with George R.R. and followed the books pretty faithfully up to a point. And then once the books ran out, man, that was it. George gave them some notes, but I feel like they went off the reservation because they thought they could do better. And we all saw what that was. So, anyhow, Voyagers. Out in April, what was it, April 9th? Yeah, April 9th. Yeah, I think this might be something.